Okay, we'll get started. Let me say good morning first to everyone, even to those I've already addressed and greeted. Again, it's a pleasure for us to have this opportunity to come together to do the work of the Economic Development Authority. And I hope everybody's doing well and haven't had any serious issues as far as weather related or the coronavirus. I'll begin by reading our electronic meeting statement. In accordance with Governor Ralph Northam's declaration of a state of emergency due to novel coronavirus, Executive Order 51 on March 12th, 2020, and the local declaration of emergency ratified by the Portsmouth City Council, and due to the coronavirus pandemic, which is continuing in the Commonwealth of Virginia, this meeting of the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority is being held by video conference on the 21st day of July 2020 without a quorum present in the 6th floor conference room in the City Hall in order to reduce the likely spread of coronavirus. Each EDA member is participating from their home. This meeting is held in accordance with Portsmouth City Ordinance 2020-21. Notice of public access and participation to this electronic meeting was posted on the EDA and the city websites, and comments to the board about this meeting were received by EDA staff via the port, let me put it like this, PRTECO at portsmouthva.gov email address. Thank you. And at this point, we'll turn it over to Robert for the roll call.
All right, thank you, Chair. Mr. Barber. Can anybody?
And I need to, I'm here.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Barber. Ms. Drury.
Here, present.
Mr. Kovacic.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell. I see you speaking. I'll take that. Mrs. Saunders Smith. Mrs. Smith. And Mr. Smith.
Present.
All right, you do have a quorum, sir. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the EDA, there is one change to the agenda, and I believe Kelsey Swearinger is on the line as well. We would like to amend the agenda to remove the item under new business that is 600 Court Street. That item is still in the works and not prepared to go forward. So I believe we need to take action to amend the agenda. So I believe I need a motion and a second, and then a vote to amend said agenda. Kelsey, am I correct in that?
Oh yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Robert, it looks like there's two items for 600 Court Street. Are you striking both items?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to amend the agenda to remove 600 Court Street.
Thank you, Mr. Kovacic.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, I believe. Roll call vote, Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Ms. Drury.
Aye.
Mr. Kovacic.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
And Mr. Smith.
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Motion carries, and we will remove that item from the agenda and bring that at a later date. If so will, Chair, we can move forward
Yes.
with the rest of the agenda. All right.
Yes.
The first item on the agenda, as normal or typical, are the approval of the minutes. You all should have received the minutes in your package, and unless there are any changes, We will look for a motion and a second to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Okay. That was
Second.
all right, Mr. Barber, and second by Ms. Drury. All right, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Kovacic,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Motion carries. Typically, again, at this point, we would go over the financials. Again, we are still in the works of putting those financials together. I will say, have some brief discussions with Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Kovacic, the ad hoc committee. As you recall, we did discuss in the group did give consensus for us to look at options regarding a private CPA firm handling the financials of the EDA. Staff will be meeting with Mr. Kovacic and Mr. Mitchell before the next meeting in August to have that discussion and bring that item to you in August. Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Kovacic, I leave it open to you all if you have any comments.
I don't have any. It's just, obviously we just need to get this up and running. We're a couple months behind on the financials. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I'll wait till after the our meeting in the August session.
Okay. All right. Thank you. One thing I will say is that we are wrapping up the kind of year-end numbers. Typically around this time, actually in April, we would have the city itself would have the State of the City event that you all would typically attend. We did not have that event this year, and thus the numbers and the way we present how we did the previous calendar year was not presented in that typical fashion. We have put together and are working with our multimedia folks to put together what we think is a very outstanding video representation of our numbers. And there are some costs associated with that. And we're right around that $5,000 range. But I'd like a consensus, if at all possible, for us to utilize or staff to utilize the business development line item in the EDA's budget, which you all approved for $55,000 to cover the cost of some of those expenses.
Yes. Everyone else, you can just acknowledge by saying yes.
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 Thank you. Thank you. We should have that ready for you all to see at the next EDA meeting in August. So moving on, if no further questions, we'll move on to old business. Under old business this morning, we will be talking or discussing the entertainment district and providing an update. You may have seen recently that the city council did approve the package back on June the 1st or prior to June 1st. They approved the package that was submitted to the lottery board for pre-certification to move this item forward and to allow for potentially approval of the opportunity to place the casino on a referendum vote for November the 3rd. City, along with economic development staff, and I see Councilwoman Simmons on the screen here as well. Good morning, Councilwoman. Council worked very hard to put that package together with staff and approve everything in that package. That was submitted to lottery board on June the 1st. We did receive within the last 10 days the approval of that pre-certification by lottery board. That certification allows us again to move forward or petition the court to put that item on the referendum or as a referendum on November the 3rd. Council did vote this past Thursday unanimously to on the language that would be needed for that referendum. Again, they approved that 7-0. So that has been moved forward to the court. So that will be petitioned through, I think, Ms. Swaringa. I could be wrong. So we're looking forward to that item being on the November 3rd referendum and November 3rd vote. We have with us this morning, however, our partners, your partners from Rush Street Gaming. We have with us Mr. Jacob Oberman, who is the Senior VP. We have Mr. Brett Schweiker, and Brett, I know I'm going to butcher your title, but I think it's Director of Government Affairs. And then we have Mr. Jack Horner, who is with the Horner Company, and he is their PR and marketing firm. They are here this morning to provide an update on some of the exciting things they have going on with regards to the casino. And I am going to attempt to turn it over to Mr. Oberman and the team. And Jacob, I'm hoping you can hear me.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So, Robert, good morning, everyone. It's early here in Las Vegas, but I'm super excited to be able to present our renderings to everybody. We are the project. Just to recap things, it's a $300 million project. We are. Yeah, if you go to the next slide. Yeah, if you go to the next slide. So a $300 million project. We are looking at, when we first came to City Council, in the EDA, we talked about 1,000 jobs. We think at full build out of the full casino, hotel, event center, we think it's now looking like 1,300 jobs, full build out, 1,400 construction jobs. You recall when we submitted our package to the lottery board, we had an economic impact study done, which they estimated we'd generate 16 million in revenue per year for the city once we're open, and that's largely from casino revenue taxes, Portsmouth share of casino revenue taxes, as well as property taxes and other types of hotel and entertainment tax that the city would collect. One of the key elements, one of the key pillars for Rush Street Gaming is we want to ensure that the local business community and the minority business community locally will benefit from this project. So, we're really excited to start to begin very soon our outreach effort. And just to remind everybody, we last year Rush Street Gaming spent our 4 casino properties. We spent a total of 23 million with minority and women-owned businesses. So we are very excited to get more involved in the community as the months go by. Can you go to the next slide? So this is an overhead view of the project. Victory Boulevard will be running north-south on the left. 264 running east-west to the north. What couple things I wanted. This is what the project will look like at full build-out, or at least this is the preliminary conceptual plan. I think some of you all saw the site layout plan a couple months ago. This is just take you a little further along. You have the casino building with the restaurants and bars and entertainment over to the left. Over to the top, you have a hotel, you have a parking garage over to the right, and then all the way to the bottom right, which would be a later phase, which would be sort of dining, entertainment, retail. A couple of things that just to update you on. We had a great initial meeting with TCC a week or two ago. We're really excited to start our collaboration with them, given that they're our neighbor. So that's super exciting for us. We're going to start working with them and start brainstorming how we can optimize the partnership there. And I also wanted to point out on the top left, the little, it's maybe hard to tell, but the little green space at the top left is an event lawn. And this is something we've spoken to Robert about and others. What we do in upstate New York and at our casino in Pittsburgh is we have an outdoor concert series in the summer. And most of the events are free to the public. And so given that the weather is a lot better in Portsmouth than it is in Schenectady, New York, we're really excited about hosting outdoor events during the summer and being a place really where the community can come to enjoy things. We go to the next slide, you'll actually see the first really cool rendering. So just kind of to recap, this is kind of a view from the side. The main entrance to the casino is kind of in front of you on the left. But one of the things that has really excited us is, you see the little rendering cars, but we've had a couple people from Rush Street go down to have been down in the Hampton Roads area the last month or so. And what people are telling me when they're down there is they get more excited about this project because they see all of the out-of-state license plates that are in the area. We know there's no gaming in South Carolina. We know there's no gaming in the eastern part of North Carolina. We know there won't be a full-scale casino in Richmond for a while. And so we know that we can bring in a lot of people from outside the area, and we're frankly getting even more excited than what we were when we initially when Neil Bloom and a few of us came down initially. This is the other view. So this is the straight on view, the front door. This would be facing north. Again, the hotel is on your right. The conference center is beneath the hotel. Parking, etc. But we hope the design fits in. The goal here is to fit into the community. We didn't want to bring Vegas here, but we wanted to build something that was that people would appreciate and could be proud of. And so just to recap, if we go to the last slide. And I'm sure folks have a lot of questions. I may not be able to hear them, but Brett is here as well to answer questions. But we're super happy that we've got through the lottery pre-certification process. We are fingers crossed, working hard on the referendum, and obviously are planning for a successful referendum on November 3rd. Then we have the next step in the process would be an application. We would turn in an application to the lottery, and we expect a very robust review, and they would, as part of that process, look into our background and our probity and how we our licenses in other casino markets. So that process, will go on in 2021, and then after that process is complete, then then we would be once we get the local permitting, we could begin construction. And so with that, Robert, we are happy to take questions. Maybe Brett's the only one that'll be able to answer them, but kind of turn it back over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Brett. Are there questions from the commission?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
I'm very, very excited about the 1,300 permanent jobs and 1,400 temporary construction jobs. Are you able to provide us at some point the type of positions you're going to be looking for and what the training requirements might be to determine if that's a role that we might be able to play in assisting you, or do you expect that to mostly go through TCC?
Brett, I could hear that. So yes, the answer is we're actually putting together a list of all of the positions that we anticipate, plus the training that is involved in each position, training and qualifications. We are for sure going to share that with TCC as appropriate. Because the goal is obviously to maximize the local employment. Just as a statistic, I wanted to share, 35% of our employees at Rivers Philadelphia were unemployed prior to getting the job there. So we do want to make sure that we're looking not only in the employed population for people who may want to get a job that pays more, but we also want to hire as many folks that might be unemployed as possible, particularly in the situation we are in.
Can you just talk to us a little bit about the outreach effort, what that entails?
Yeah, so our next step of the process, we are planning for September. Our next step is going to be a career information session. So what we're going to do is work with TCC to plan, and other agencies as appropriate, to plan a career information session. And so what this will be is it's not going to be a job fair, because obviously we have to get through the referendum first. So it's not necessarily something where people are going to pass resumes, but what it will be is we will explain how to work at a casino, what it's like to work at a casino, and what you need to do to prepare 2 years to prepare yourself to be ready when the jobs come, that you're ready. And also secondarily, the construction jobs too, what you have to do to get ready for those. So that is the next step. Beyond that, again, we want to also partner with other local agencies, and as we get further down the line to again ensure that we have as big a pipeline as possible, that people know what they need to do to prepare themselves for when we come.
Okay, this is Ray Smith, Chair. Continuing on with the outreach question, what could you talk a little bit about the community outreach?
Yeah, do you mean, Star? Do you mean, this is Brett Schweiker, the Director of Public Affairs and Government Relations? I assume you're referring to our immediate community outreach as it pertains to the referendum campaign, correct?
Well, yeah, that too, and the local vicinity, the surrounding community. What kind of time frame you're looking at, to doing that also. Yeah, both of those areas.
Yeah, I can get into the campaign first in the near term, and then I'll let Jacob answer the latter part of that question. So we've been at it since around late March, where we've engaged someone to kind of oversee some typical campaign efforts, as well as hiring some people from the community to that represent various constituencies in the city. To engage in what we would call typical campaign efforts, where they would go to public events and engage people that they know. But obviously in this in this environment that kind of got shelved. But I know that in the months to come, well, you'll see plenty of campaigns style mailers and the like that kind of touch on themes that range from Portsmouth pride and getting elite level construction coming to the city, and also kind of talking about jobs and how we're bringing more well-paid positions to the city, and then also what we're highlighting the city's decision to turn what has been an underutilized vacant lot into something that'll be more of a regional engine right there in Portsmouth. So those are going to be some of the themes that we're going to hit on, in addition to face-to-face briefings on the on what's happening in the project, what's happening with the project.
Thank you. And the
Hi,
second,
this is-
well,
oh.
they didn't cover the second part of it. The second part is.
Yeah, and then Jacob, do you want to get into what that will look like once we're kind of up and running?
Yeah, we're very involved in the community, all of our markets. Frankly, we want to hire. One of the things we look for is in the folks we hire is we want them to have community pride. And one of the things when Robert and Jeff Miller came up to Philadelphia, one of the things one of the places we took them to was the Police Athletic League, the gym, and we're very involved with that as it relates to helping working with kids after school, giving them a place to go, letting off steam. In all our other markets, we give folks time off to volunteer, our employees in the community. We're very supportive of different community efforts. But frankly, this is one of the areas where we are kind of chomping at the bit to get down there, to get to Portsmouth. Normally you would have seen us a lot more, but just given the obvious, we haven't been there in as much force as we normally would. But trust me, when we're open, we're going to be very involved with the community, and just look forward to helping out where we can and where our employees think we need to help out, because we know for us to be successful, the community has to be successful.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Yeah, I do. This is Kathy Jury. So I have a few questions. So when will you start on the marketing? I mean, will you be doing billboards and Facebook, and what are you going to be doing locally to actually push, for the referendum? When will we start to see that?
You're gonna start to see that probably in a matter of days, ma'am.
Okay. And what is that going to entail? I mean, I know, again, you said it's harder. There's no public events right now, so pretty much all you're seeing is social media or billboard campaign from everybody.
Yes, ma'am. It will begin with mailers that will hit citizens' mailbox, and that'll start in a number of days, and we'll continue with different mailers. Of course, won't be the same one, through the month of October with the different themes that I had mentioned. Okay. Portsmouth pride, jobs, and kind of, and the other one being a high-end construction finally coming to this vacant lot kind of thing. And then we'll have a presence on social media that'll include videography, kind of like a greatest hits from some of our other properties that you can expect in Portsmouth. And and also, typical social media banner ad type things, and informationals. We will have a social media presence apart from those types of things. I'm sure all of you do enough shopping online, and then eventually, 10 minutes later, you see an ad for that retailer that you had been browsing. We'll have that going too.
Okay.
And then as we get closer, we've preserved the option. We have not decided on this yet, but depending on how we feel it's going, as I mentioned, Portsmouth is a pretty diverse place. Whether you're talking about former military service families, or African American, or Caucasian, and the like, and we have every community represented on the campaign, and based on what we're learning on the ground, we'll preserve the option to run ads via the radio, and also place ads in the Virginia pilot, but that's not been decided yet. We like where we are. And billboard ads too are also are budgeted, but we're not. We will have to see kind of how things go. Right now, we like where we are. We're in a very competitive place, and we think running, what we're doing this early kind of seeks to strengthen our position, because after all, this is not an odd year election. We have
Right.
president, we have city council, we have the mayor's race, as you all know full well. And I think it's important that we kind of start this in the summer months, and let the roots take hold, and then hopefully people remember us when the presidential kicks into high gear, because we're not going to do TV ads. We don't think we need to, but we're prepared for any and all. But right now, those things I mentioned at the top of what we are going to do, and you'll see that in a number of days, in a matter of days.
So how far out, once you do break ground, how far out do you start your pre-sale? Like with hiring the director of sales and marketing, the general manager, and getting out the pre-sale and all of that?
Yeah, it usually will come in waves. So we'll typically hire. We'll probably hire the general manager probably soon after the referendum,
Okay.
and then it will kind of waterfall from there. So we'll hire, like, the next hires will be the head of the casino, the head of food and beverage, and head of security and head of facilities, and then they'll probably hire their number twos. We obviously have to hire a large HR human resources team early on, and then it kind of staffs up. Most of the big blocks of hiring will happen in the last 2 or 3 months before we open, with the one caveat being the casino table games dealers. There's some lead time, because obviously there's a lot of folks in the community who will be hired to be table game dealers, but they're going to need to be trained, because I'm sure many of them their first time being a table game dealer, so they'll need to go through that training process a few months prior to opening.
And lastly, on the training, so does TCC, and I probably should know this, do they have a hospitality program? I know the ODU and NSU does, but does TCC already have one in place?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Okay, great.
Hey, this is Malcolm Mitchell again. Have you guys selected the construction company at this point?
No, we have not. That will come after the referendum. We haven't. Other than a couple of the folks that are helping us with the traffic study and some of the site engineering work, and the folks that put together this design work. We haven't hired anybody. Those legislation will be made next year, and as part of our as part of our aspirational goal to include minority and women-owned businesses in the project, part of our general contractor selection, will be based on that contractor's history of meeting or exceeding and including minority and women-owned businesses in the project.
Hi, this is Kyle Kovacic. I had a question with the current environment, knowing that it's next to impossible to know, what's coming up next week. Do you foresee any of the industry challenges facing, the gaming industry, maybe impacting the timeline that you have for construction and opening?
So back in March, our four casinos, we actually voluntarily closed all of them prior to being told to by our gaming commissions, because we saw frankly what was going on in Italy and other places, and we wanted to be very proactive and to the extent possible protect our employees. Fortunately, today we have three of our four properties are open again. So folks are getting back to work, which is great. I think we're moving full steam ahead with the referendum. We'll move full steam ahead once it's over with our application to the lottery. The thing, just to refresh everyone's recollection, Neil Bloom built 3 casinos right after 2008. So he, because he's able to access the credit markets, we were able to build, frankly, after the last recession when others couldn't. So, long story short, we're still moving full steam ahead, and we'll see what comes. We'll see what comes next year.
I think also I would add to that, I appreciate the question because we don't know what's liable to come down the pike, but in some ways, the way this lays out, unless this pandemic becomes one of, biblical proportions and is with us for years on end, you would think that by the time we're open, life will have, reached a level of normalcy where we won't have to do things like population control like you're seeing in the 1,000 plus casinos across the country, and plexiglass on blackjack tables, and mask coverings being mandated. So hopefully in 2 years we're seeing a level of normalcy where no, it won't affect our operations, given that the opening day is that far out. But to your point, you never know. But in terms of our operations, hope the answer is hopefully it's far out enough where that kind of thing won't affect us.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Soringa, did you have anything you wanted to add as legal counsel?
No, I think we're good right now.
Okay. And Councilwoman Simmons, certainly wanted to get your input as well while you were on the call.
No, I'm just very excited, looking forward to it.
Yeah, Councilwoman, thank you for your support, by the way. This is Brett, the Director of Public Affairs and Government Relations. I know that, votes like that are not always easy. So appreciate you doing your homework and ultimately greenlighting this.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you all. Chair, that's all of the items that we have for old business. Let me say thank you to Brett and Jacob and Jack, who was also on the call for being with us this morning. This information will be eventually uploaded and updated on the Rivers Casino Portsmouth.com website. So you will be able to direct individuals there within the coming days to see these new renderings. Also, we will have some press media going out later this afternoon regarding this as well. So we're very excited about this, and we'll keep moving forward. Moving on to new business, Chair. First item on the agenda is the State of Economic Interest form. That is a form that you all will need to fill out. You all should have received an email regarding that form and the need to supply that form to Ms. Deborah White by the 3rd of August. Just wanted to remind you about that. Should you have any questions, I would direct you to Ms. White, and she will assist you with that. But we need those forms turned in by the 3rd of August. Questions? And that's original signature to Mrs. White. And it can be mailed or potentially dropped off. We'd have to see how we can get that done, but needs to be the original signature.
Robert, this is Elizabeth Simmons, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
I think most of you here in the meeting I spoke to individually in the last week or so. But if you have any other questions about this statement of economic interest form, what you have now is exactly what elected officials have been completing for some time. And, you know, it's unfortunately standard operating procedure now that, you know, in this day and time, when you're dealing with millions of dollars of public funds, you must be accountable, and people want to know if you, you know, if your spouse is president of IBM or the biggest utility in the region or the biggest bank or whatever, that's, you know, might sway your decision in a vote. And so it's just keeping everybody honest. I don't think anybody's going around looking at these things, frankly. You know, I've been doing it for 16 years and I've never ever tried to look for anybody else's statement of economic interest. Have you, Mr. Smith?
No.
So anyway, I'll be happy to help any of you if you have questions about what is and isn't, in addition to Deborah White, the city clerk, who is the expert in all these matters. So anyway, just a comment.
Let me add to that also. I've spoken recently with Deborah and also Dr. Patton. And as Robert has said, the best option is going to be the mail. They've had to shut down the building, and they're going through a lot of procedures to try to clean up and change filters and reevaluate circulating equipment. But so the likelihood that you can drop off, but the best answer, as Robert said, is to call Deborah and ask her how she wants to receive it. Thank you. That's it for me.
All right, thank you, Chair. Also, as part of, and this came down as part of the new legislation that came into effect July 1. Also part of that, in addition to the statement of economic interest form, there is a required FOIA training. And Lee Ogilvy will be sending to you following this meeting the link to the FOIA training. Once you complete the training, you will need to print off a certificate. I don't think that needs to be original. We can have a PDF version of it, but you will need to complete the FOIA training in some way, shape, or form, acquire that certificate, and make sure that we receive a copy of that so we can have that in the file to show that everyone, including myself, have taken that training. Any questions?
And Robert, if I may, I can tell you, I probably shouldn't say this in a public meeting, but oh my gosh, that is 30 minutes of life you will never get back. It is a very boring webinar, but you got to do it.
So you've already said that in an open meeting, but that's But certainly, you know, we will abide by the rules and we'll burn that 30 minutes, including myself. I'm so looking forward to FOIA training, for 30 minutes. And, we will make sure we send that link out to you, following this meeting. And like I said, once you acquire that, certificate, just let us know. Next up, we have on the agenda, again, we've removed the 2 items associated with 600 Court Street. So we are moving to 640 North Street, which is an interior build-out application that is part of the local incentive program or LIP program that you all have. This morning, we'll have 2 portions of the LIP program. One will give you an update on that application and seek approval. And then we will have Mr. Donahue give an update on where we are or where we ended, kind of pre-COVID, if you will, to this point. So I will turn this over to Mr. Smith, I think. Armand Smith.
Robert, I think we can start with a LIP date, and then Armand can provide a presentation. So good morning again, everybody. Pleasure to see you all. We wanted just to give you a quick recap of the LIP program as we closed out FY 2020 as of June 30th. These are the numbers for the last 5 fiscal years. So you'll see the total amount of funds dispersed was well over $600,000. We came in a little bit under what our projections were for FY 20. That was due to a couple of factors. Obviously, COVID-19 has caused some delays with planned projects that we anticipated developing over the course of the year. And in addition to that, we did have an applicant that had a $50,000 award of 2 LIP grants that was not able to move forward. So we did come in somewhat significantly under our projections, but 148,000 was what we were able to disperse in FY 20. And then for those that were delayed, we have essentially just rolled those into the current FY 21 fiscal year. So you have allocated, as you're aware, $300,000 again, which we are now working to disperse. And we do have some applicants that are currently under review, and Armand will be presenting the first of those to you here in just a moment. Are there any questions about the past year's funding and what we have done?
Brian, I just want to bring this up again. I know last time we talked about making some minor changes to the program. We talked about maybe allowing equipment to be considered. Are we ready to make that change at this going into this year, or is that requiring further discussion?
So as it stands at this moment, the application has not been revised. The program parameters are still the same as FY 20. I'll allow Robert to speak about kind of the process for making modifications, but that is something that had been raised, and we had that under consideration. We have just not made that change as of yet.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brian. Yes, Vice Chair. That is something that we have heard, and we are looking to make that change. However, as Mr. Ray Smith read this morning, we are still under those COVID-19 regulations as far as what we can and can't talk about, and the continuity of business and things of that nature. We are hoping that by the next meeting, we will have some additional clarity that will allow us to talk about other items from a continuity of business standpoint. We anticipate that may be the case. We are looking to make additional modifications, not just equipment and things of that nature, but we want to make sure we come to you with a number of options. So as of right now, we have not made those changes, but we are looking to potentially bring that to you in August, at the latest September. Any questions? Okay.
There was somebody in Malcolm.
So what we do have this morning is an application that Mr. Armand Smith will present to you all, and we'll have some further discussion after he presents the application. Mr. Armand Smith. Mr. Smith, hold on one second. I don't think we can hear you. Okay, try it again, Mr. Smith. Okay, Mr. Smith, we still cannot hear you. Mr. Donahue, do you have an update of the application that we can discuss, or do we need to have Mr. Smith call in?
I'm working to pull up the information right now, Robert.
Thank you.
Armand, if you can call in, I'm not able to access the information. If you can dial in.
Mr. Donahue, what was the amount? Do we know what the amount of this? 1 second, I apologize. Let me see. Am I on the screen? All right. Mr. Donahue, I have the information in front of me. What we have, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the EDA, is the property located at 640 North Street. This is owned by Hansel Union Consulting. This is an existing Portsmouth business that has actually moved, relocated, and expanded facilities here in Portsmouth. They were looking to, prior to COVID, they had submitted an application for an interior build-out grant in the amount of, with renovations totaling $26,185.74. At this point, they are requesting a grant of total of $15,056.80. We are bringing this to you as an after the fact approval. This is not typical. They have completed the work. You can see on the screen there the before and after photos from the exterior and the interior. We feel as though it is only appropriate because this application came in prior to COVID. It came in February to go to the March meeting. And since we did not have a March meeting and could not move forward for all intents and purposes on the approval of these applications, if you recall, there are also a couple months where we did not have an EDA meeting. We feel it is only appropriate based off the amount of the work that was done, the investment that was made, and again, with the pandemic being what it was, not anyone's fault per se, especially the business owners, we feel that this is appropriate to request an after the fact approval of said grant for this business. We understand again that this is an exception. Certainly, again, we think this is an extenuating circumstance, however. So we are looking this morning for your approval. And I'll answer any questions that you all may have.
So Robert, you're asking for the questions, and if there aren't any questions, we'll call for a motion.
Ray Smith, I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I just think it's phenomenal that you've got a business here who has expanded, bought a building, expanded, and did all this work in the middle of, this pandemic. I think it's remarkable. And I think it's only appropriate to, support their decisions and their exciting expansion. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Thank you. Absolutely. I concur 100%. So we'll entertain a motion. Haven't heard any further comments or questions. Somebody?
Motion
I
to
so
approve.
move.
All right, so I'll take Mr. Kovacic as the motion, and I'll take Ms. Drury as the second. That's okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Kovacic,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ray Smith.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Motion carries. And we will work to process that and have that out to them quickly. And we echo the sentiments of the councilwoman. Even during the pandemic, they expanded, added a couple new jobs. I think they added about 4 new jobs. So this was a great opportunity for them. Again, even in the pandemic. And they actually went from lease space to acquiring this location out at 640 North Street. The next item on the agenda is one item that I am very excited about. You all, as a body and as a board, have asked staff consistently about how you all can assist businesses that have been affected by COVID-19, and what can you all do, whether it was in the form of utilizing the LIP program, so forth. As you recall, the city manager and city council, the city itself did receive approximately $8.2 million of the CARES CARES Act funding. And we are very proud that Dr. Patton and along with city council agreed that there was an opportunity to utilize some of that funding to provide, again, assistance to our businesses here in Portsmouth. So you should have received a copy of and an explanation about what we are calling the very new and very exciting Portsmouth COVID-19 Business Recovery Grant. Council did approve the appropriation of $1 million for this grant. This allows for us to provide assistance to small businesses. There is criteria. You should have received, and I'm going to hold this up, but you should have received this packet here. This packet is about 11 pages, and we think it is an inclusive program that allows us to help those businesses, especially those that may have been left out of the PPP or the EIDL type of federal assistance that was provided, again, through the federal government. This program is a program that will pay up to $5,000 in what we consider fixed costs, limited to small businesses that are for-profit, non-chain, or nationally franchised locations. They have to have a brick and mortar location, no home-based businesses. They have to have been in business since March 1st, 2019. And they have to have less than 50 full-time employees. Again, to make sure we're reaching out to those small businesses there are here in the city. There is an application. When we look at, is there another slide? When we look at the opportunity to provide this funding, again, we're looking at fixed costs to include, but not necessarily limited to, rent, mortgage payments, private utilities or insurance. If they were to acquire PPE or sanitation requirements or sanitation measures for their business, and any marketing efforts that were done directly related to COVID-19, i.e. Digital print, some type of signage, advertisement, things of that nature. Again, the grants are matching grants, so they have to provide to us the information showcasing what they have paid in those fixed costs. up to $5,000. We do have a provision because there are some businesses that have responded directly to COVID-19, i.e. they are making masks or they are sanitizing PPE equipment, things of that nature. We do, or this program does allow for a statement of need to be provided to staff to request an amount up to $25,000. Again, matching. So they have to show that they incurred the cost to, again, provide or directly respond to COVID-19 via their business, and we can give them up to $25,000. This program will be done and handled administratively through staff, economic development staff. It is a first come, first served basis. Again, there is an application that will be on our website immediately following this meeting. So we will begin taking applications today. I believe we already have 10 people in pipeline waiting for this application to go live. We will do this in rounds. So the first round will end August 31st. The next round will run from September 1st to September 30, and then we will have another round that runs from October 1 to October 31. We're doing it in rounds because we want to make sure, one, that we can understand and see who we are assisting. The application specifically talks about and request information as far as the type of small business, women-owned, veteran-owned, minority, so on and so forth, so we can track that demographic. And we'll make sure that we are, as best as possible, reaching the hardest hit. Again, first round will be just up, and we'll see what kind of response we get. And then we will go from a targeted standpoint to, again, make sure that we're reaching as many businesses as we can. I will tell you that $1 million is, from what I understand, probably the highest amount provided by a council or a board of supervisors to an EDA in the state. I think the closest to that is Loudoun County. So this gives us the opportunity to give up as much as 200 different grants to various businesses. Again, we will handle it administratively through staff. Very excited about it. Certainly open it up for any questions that you all may have. But as you can see on the screen there, we have our information up. We have a dedicated email as well, so individuals can email it to us and we can process them accordingly. With that, I'll open it up for any questions. I know that was rather quick, but you all have the packet in front of you as well.
Robert, is there a time frame in which these funds have to be utilized?
The time frame is Dr. Patton, the city manager, has to report back to the state by December 31st. So we anticipate we will try to expend as much as we can by October 31st. That will give us enough time to report back what we have and have not utilized, and that will give Dr. Patton enough time to respond back to the state. Ms. Drury, I think you're speaking, but yes. I can't. All right.
I was, sorry, I was muted. Besides the website, how are we getting this information out to all of the businesses to let them know this is available? And also, I mean, this is great PR, so how are we getting it out to the public, especially the Portsmouth public, to let them know that we are one of the highest, or are the highest city in amount, the amount we're giving?
So we are putting this out certainly via our website, also via our social media. So that will be via Twitter, via LinkedIn. The city will put this out via Port City. If you all are not a member of that, you should be. But that is the citywide kind of digital marketing we have. At the same time, I'm sure this will be placed on the city's Facebook page. So we will have this out there. We are looking at the opportunity to put some press, if you will, out there about this. We're still going through that, having that discussion. The other part of this is, as a staff of 5, we have to be able to respond when these people bring it in. So we will send out the marketing, but we also need to make sure that we can keep up the level of service to deal with these. So we will see how the first round goes from a marketing standpoint. And if we're not hitting the individuals we feel like we should, then there's going to be some more direct, in your face kind of marketing, if you will.
I was going to ask that. So are you reaching out directly right now to some of the ones that you know are hardest hit or that came to you originally?
Yes. So we've been keeping a spreadsheet of anyone that's called in and said, hey, is the city going to provide any type of of assistance to small businesses. And again, this program is kind of a collaboration, and it's been put together by based off of a number of different models. If you go throughout the region, and even like I said to Northern Virginia, you'll see that we all base it off of some of the same things. It's a matching grant, fixed costs, number of employees is important. So that way, a company that's 250 employees that might have received some type of federal assistance or majority of federal assistance, we want to make sure we're focusing on the true small businesses, which we know we have here in Portsmouth. I mean, the majority of our businesses, about 80-some%. So we have a list of those individuals that have already contacted us, and then we are looking at, we know that there are certain businesses and certain types of businesses, let me be clear, that may not have had the banking relationship that they needed to obtain the PPP or the EIDL loans. Maybe they're just a single individual that has an office, and they're looking to trying to figure out how they can, get some of this grant money. We're going to make sure we reach out to those folks. I will tell you that the application does ask, have these individuals or have these businesses received any type of assistance outside of us? So have they received the PPP, the EIDL? We want to know that so we can track it, not so we can tell them, no, you can't have this. This is not deter them from obtaining this grant from you all. We just want to know from a tracking purposes standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Robert, this is Neil.
Yes, sir.
I hate to disagree with you, but if the guidance from the Department of Treasury indicates that that you're not supposed to provide assistance through the COVID that either has been covered by either the PPE or EIDL funds or as anticipated.
Yes, sir. And that's why on the application, you are correct. And that's why on the application, we ask what they've received. We will look at, if they've already received some monies, we will make sure that as best we can, they are not being reimbursed for funds or things that they have already been reimbursed. That's why we ask them what they have received, the amount they received, and what they received that for, and the documentation associated with it. So we think we have a catch-all in there from that standpoint. And I think you had emailed us regarding the insurance aspect and what insurance or business recovery insurance, or I know I'm saying that wrong, but what that may have covered. We feel that we have that covered in this document. And again, the businesses that we feel like need it the most probably didn't have that disaster insurance in the first place. Any other questions or comments or concerns?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a comment. I'm very pleased and excited about the project, but I do have some reservations about the role of the EDA in its development and administration. So I will be abstaining from the vote.
Do you wish to share those reservations so that we could at least understand them?
I'd be glad to if you're interested. The program has been, as I understand it, was developed by the city staff, and the authorization was from the city council for $1 million to support the program. We as a board did not receive the details of the program until Friday for administration of a program today. I do understand the urgency of that there. We are authorizing staff of the city to review all the applications, to approve the applications, and in some cases up to $25,000 award. We do not have any oversight of those approvals. And I understand, and this may be true, may not be true, that the city will establish a separate account and the funds will be dispersed from that account and not from the EDA's account. So in essence, we do not have any fiscal oversight of the funds as well. So in essence, I have concerns about what role the EDA is actually playing in the administration of this program.
Can I just make a comment in reference to Neil's comments? I guess I'm not understanding why you say that there's no oversight. Are you talking about members of the EDA? Because Robert, as the director, and his staff is the oversight, and they are the ones that we're going to hold responsible for, and they will answer to us at any point in time we have any questions, or if we need to see any documents, we need to get updates. We can surely, any member can request that, so and I'm not really sure if it's really legal for you to abstain just because you don't agree. You would just have to vote no, but maybe our legal can clarify that. But if you had some kind of circumstance or some conflict that required you to abstain, then that would be quite appropriate. But I'm not sure just because you disagree with the process, you can abstain. But if Robert or our legal would address that. But the bottom line here is that the oversight is our staff, and I have faith and trust that they're going to administrate it according, and then they're going to provide documentation that we've requested. Some members requested to know who's being helped and the qualifications. So I'm just a little concerned about your concerns.
Can I ask one question, just going for all those? So, I mean, I assume that the board, we will see, as you just said, Mr. Smith, we will see the list of everybody who did receive it. Will we receive anything on those who did not, or even at least the amount of businesses, the number of businesses that didn't receive it, and an idea of the reasons for not?
Yes, we will have that documentation. We will do our best to make sure we approve everyone. Again,
Right.
we are hoping that the reason someone did not receive is because we didn't have any money. But there may be situations to where items have already been reimbursed. It doesn't qualify. We will make sure that when we go through the application, because there's an application for each, there will be an application for each grant that you all know, much like a LIP grant, this is how much was paid out, this is why. And that's because we also need to report that to the city manager, so she can report that back to the state.
Okay, great, thank you.
And let me say this also. This is as chair, I'm the process that we've been going through. As we deliberate on items, we kind of put the cart before the horse. The appropriate parliamentary way to do this is to get a motion on the floor and then address questions. But often we take questions before the motion has been put on the table, on the floor, and that's something that we need to check. We should have had the motion on the floor before we entertain questions. So Robert, let's practice that. That's proper parliamentary procedure before.
We will call for the question prior to any discussion.
Yes.
Going forward.
And any other, and now that we're already on this track, we can keep on going with it. So any other questions or comments? And Neil, you have anything else?
Just to follow up from you, Mr. Chairman, the question to council and maybe Robert, whether I'm able to abstain or not.
I will leave that to Ms. Swaringa, and I know I say her name different every time I say it, but I will leave that up to you to make that determination.
You were right that time, Robert. The chair is correct that abstaining without having one of the very few legal reasons that you can abstain isn't really abstaining. So I mean, you can choose not to vote, I suppose, but that's going to be the equivalent of a no vote.
Okay, so any other questions or comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
We just need a motion and then a second.
Motion to approve the business recovery grant.
Thank you, Mr. Gavachi.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Barber,
Not voting.
Mrs. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Gavachi,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ray Smith.
Yes.
All right, so the motion carries 4-1. All right, that being
Rob,
established. Yes, sir.
before we go a little further, let's get a clarification on the vote as far as Mr. Barber.
Mhm.
Can we get,
Yes,
so
sir.
so that's a no vote, or is that a yes vote?
That's a no vote.
Okay.
A legal counsel, not voting is the equivalent of a no. So that the motion carried 4 yes, 1 no.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So that is the last of the new business. We do have a need to go into closed session. Mr. Mitchell, I believe you have the motion.
I do. I move to go into a closed electronic meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2 3711A.3 and 2.2-3708A.3 and City Council Ordinance 2020-21 for the purpose of discussing the acquisition or disposition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding the entertainment district, the 1000 block of 5th Street and properties owned by GPDC.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. I just need a second.
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Drury. All right, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Kovacic,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ray Smith.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We are going into closed session. So again, you all leave and go into the closed session link, and we will be there in about 2 minutes. Mr. Mitchell, can you read us back into open session?
Okay, I hereby move that each commissioner certify that to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
All right, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. All right, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Aye.
Mr. Kovacic,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
and Mr. Ray Smith.
Yes.
All right, we are in open session. We did not Chair have any additional items on the agenda. What I will say is this. You have conducted a number of items over the last several months from a business standpoint that will allow you some flexibility from a financial standpoint. There are a number of projects and things that we have on the horizon that will need that we will need EDA's assistance, including workforce development, whether it's via the entertainment district, as we discussed this morning, the offshore wind potential for the city of Portsmouth, and so forth. So we are very excited about what is on the horizon for the city of Portsmouth. As we discussed this morning, you all gave us consent to finalize some of our collateral from a marketing standpoint, and we are very excited about the numbers that we have had over the last several years and the number that we will have at the end of this year. With that said, we will be bringing to you over the next several, probably next 9 to 12 months, several opportunities to spend your money and at the same time really get into the development and redevelopment of the city of Portsmouth. Just wanted to make you aware of that. And I also say that over the next 6 months, you'll see a lot of dirt moving in the city of Portsmouth in all different areas and all pretty much throughout the entire city. So we're excited about that and what's going on. If you ever have any questions, certainly staff is available. But just wanted to make you aware that we will have some proposals coming to you later in the year. And if there are any questions or comments, then Chair, I'll leave it up to you.
Okay, and thank you again, Robert, and your staff, and thank everyone today. And I will, before I conclude, ask first of any other members if they have any comments or parting thoughts. That's scary to say, but I'll put it out there.
Mr. Chairman, I know, prior to COVID, we had a retreat plan to do some strategic planning to review what our future is. Is there a way that we can, some way, virtually or resume those discussions at some point in time?
I would think we could. We just need to instruct Robert to make that happen. How about the other members?
I agree. I agree.
I think we definitely need to.
Yes, I agree also. So Robert, I don't know what that involves trying to do that now, but can you get back with us on that?
Yes, sir. I will check with legal again from a standpoint of COVID and what we can and can't talk about. Certainly, City Council has not had their retreat either. So let me see what the premise of that is or was, and we will get back to you on what that will be. That will more than likely be a specially called meeting in some way, shape, or form, but we'll see.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And anyone else? And again, thanks everyone. As Robert has said, we've got quite a bit done in these last few months, considering what we're all going through. And I just pray and hope that everyone stays safe and wear your mask and practice social distancing and washing hands. Those and stay away from the conspiracies and the and all the other insanity, even with the politics that you're going to be hearing, the insanity about economic development in Portsmouth, and very few of them will even know anything about what's been going on or can tell you about what's been happening, other than maybe an incumbent, but just be vigilant and hopefully everything will go okay as our plans develop for now and in the future. So everyone have a nice day and thank you again for being here. Thank you. Good day.
Stay cool, everybody.
Right.
Robert, I'll cut you a deal on the shirt.
I appreciate it. I'll get one if you sign this form for me.
Okay,
Right.
we'll negotiate when I get there.
No problem.
Thank you.